An image appeared online and vanished within 24 hours. Not blurred, not age-restricted, erased. The few who saw it said the same thing. It wasn't just creepy. It felt aware, like a portrait that noticed you noticing it and didn't look away. No one could agree on what it showed. A face? A figure? A mistake? But nearly everyone reported an identical physical response. A sour pull in the stomach, a pressure behind the eyes, the irrational urge to close the tab and check the shadows in the room. Tonight, we're tracing how that image surfaced, spread, and disappeared, and why even researchers refuse to discuss it publicly. By the end, you'll see a careful reconstruction built from dozens of eyewitness accounts. You won't forget it, but you'll finally understand why no one kept it. AI art used to be a toy. Cartoon astronauts, watercolor cats, neon skylines with too many moons. Then the models learned skin, pores, fabric, candlelight, and something else. They learned the thin edge where familiar becomes wrong. That edge is where this story lives. Technically, these are called hallucinations. Patterns the model invents while guessing what should exist. Practically, they feel like misfired empathy, a face assembled from 1,000 nearly faces, balanced too perfectly, smiling 1 millimeter past human. Your brain recognizes it. Your body rejects it. The origin point, as best anyone can tell, was a small invite-only server for experimental models. An anonymous user posted a single portrait with a caption, "Childhood sanctified." No gore, no shock tactics, just an old master-style painting that made seasoned artists go suddenly, uncomfortably quiet. Descriptions from that first thread still circulate. A tall, seated figure, draped in soft fabric. A face luminous like porcelain. A mouth held too still. Eyes that looked painted on, and yet somehow alive. The longer you stared, the more you felt it was waiting for you to blink. People began to notice background details they couldn't unsee. Gentle brush texture became clustered shapes. Soft shadow became implied letters. Folds of cloth suggested something wrapped, then not wrapped, then nothing at all. The image seemed to answer whatever fear you brought to it. Within hours, screenshots leaked to Reddit and Twitter. Reactions were violently split. Skeptics saw theater. Others reported nausea and buzzing in the ears. A few swore the mouth changed between refreshes. Not a full smile, just a tiny adjustment that felt like theories bred in the cracks. Subliminal faces, corrupted training data, a forbidden mix of sources. One rumor said the model had been trained on 3 sets: old European portraits, early medical photography, and misfiled forensic archives. Beauty braided to decay, reverence stained by accident. Researchers hate rumors, but this one unsettled them. Not because the ingredients were illegal, they weren't, but because it explained the feeling. The portrait looked reverent, devotional. Your body knew better. Something in the edges whispered. This reverence was learned from the wrong things. The first removal happened quietly. A post vanished with a generic notice. Content causes viewer distress. Another disappeared without comment. A mirror link died as you clicked it. Like a door. We like to believe content vanishes for reasons. Policy, law, courtesy. What shook people here was the speed. It felt coordinated. It felt like someone knew exactly what prompt had produced the portrait and didn't want anyone else typing it ever again. But erasing a file doesn't erase the memory of seeing it. Accounts opened just to describe it. Artists tried to paint it from memory and failed. The light was wrong, the posture wrong, the wrong kind of stillness. Their copies captured details, but none captured the presence. People started reporting body effects, tightness in the throat, a cold bloom over the scalp, a queasy static when they scrolled past reposts. That consistency bothered scientists. Fear is subjective, except when it isn't. Except when a pattern pokes something ancient you didn't know you had. Why would a portrait do that? One answer is symmetry. Faces live in a narrow band of ratios our brains expect. Shift them a fraction, and you spark alarms older than language. Another answer is meaning. We're built to find faces in clouds. This one found us first. A quieter explanation emerged. The picture might have contained spatial frequencies our visual system hates. Patterns that aren't illegal or graphic, just neurologically abrasive. Like a tone that only a few can hear, except the instrument is light, and the room is your skull. Still, the story refused to stay polite. A leaked chat claimed the model's creator contacted moderators to request removals. If true, that means two things. They knew it was theirs, and they feared what would happen if strangers iterated it. Amid the noise, a single detail persisted in nearly every account. The eyes didn't follow you by moving. They followed you by being everywhere you looked. Paintings do that sometimes. This was different. It felt less like optics and more like attention. As if attention leaked out of it. By nightfall, all obvious links were dead. What remained were fragments. A crop of a cheek, a braid of hair that might have been shadow. A rectangle of cloth whose folds implied something inside and then didn't. Threads argued about the bundle until moderators locked the door. Skeptics asked the practical question. If it was so disturbing, why didn't anyone keep a clean file? Maybe because attempts corrupted. Maybe because panic. Here's what matters. Whether the painting was a glitch, a prank, or a perfect storm of training data, thousands agreed on the feeling, and almost no one kept the picture. That combination, Consensus plus absence is rare. It leaves a shape in the mind, which is where fear breeds best. We've collected the most consistent details and rebuilt the portrait responsibly, not to shock, but to understand. Before we show it, you should know what you're looking for. The devotion in the pose, the learned idea of innocence, and the way both curdle when the eyes meet yours. Because the truth is simple and unpleasant. The picture wasn't terrifying because it broke rules. It was terrifying because it followed them too well, learned from the wrong saints, and offered back a worship that no human ever asked to receive. That's where we start. That's what we'll show you next. Within hours of its first appearance, the image began spreading across Reddit threads dedicated to AI art. At first, the comments were curious, even amused. Cool glitch. Looks like a broken Renaissance filter. But the tone shifted fast. People started describing strange feelings. Not fear, exactly. More like a deep unease that stayed with them long after they clicked away. One user wrote, "I looked at it for maybe 10 seconds. Then I shut my laptop and realized my hands were shaking." Another claimed, "The thing in the image. It's almost like it's trying to look human, but can't. Like it's angry about it." Posts began circulating with bizarre claims. Some said the image had subtle movements, like the mouth twitching when you glanced away. Others swore its eyes followed you, no matter where you stood. Of course, skeptics jumped in. "It's just a creepy AI filter. You're all paranoid." But even skeptics admitted something felt off. One compared it to hearing a sound just out of range. You can't quite pinpoint it, but it puts your entire body on edge. And then came the rumors. A few Discord users claimed the original artist wasn't really an artist at all, but a developer testing an experimental AI model. Supposedly, this model wasn't like DALL-E or Midjourney, which are trained on huge, mixed datasets. No, this one had been trained on something different. Archival photographs, old medical atlases, even crime scene images from early 20th century Europe. Whether that was true or not, the timeline matched. The image appeared briefly on an obscure Discord server, then on Twitter, then on Reddit, and then it started disappearing. At first, it was individual users deleting their posts. Then, entire threads vanished. Screenshots showed Reddit moderators claiming the post induced distress. Twitter locked accounts for sharing harmful content, even though it contained no gore, no violence, nothing that normally triggers a ban. The takedowns only fueled speculation. Why would they remove something that isn't even graphic? What's so dangerous about a painting? People began whispering about subliminal patterns, that maybe the image contained hidden signals, shapes that worked on your subconscious. One thread claimed you could see letters buried in the brushstrokes. Another person swore they spotted faint numbers etched into the background, like a code. A YouTuber tried to debunk the hysteria by showing the image in a live stream. According to chat logs, nearly everyone who watched said they felt lightheaded. The streamer suddenly ended the broadcast after just 5 minutes, muttering that his camera kept glitching. He hasn't posted since. Now, whether he simply panicked or whether it was all part of the legend, no one knows. But by this point, the painting had taken on a life of its own. Several users downloaded copies before everything was scrubbed. They claimed the file behaved strangely. Metadata with impossible timestamps, corrupted layers that wouldn't open, even file sizes changing by themselves. Some people called it an AI ghost in the machine. Others called it nonsense, just bad compression artifacts. But one thing was clear. Every version of the image vanished within 24 hours. The question became, who ordered it taken down? Some pointed at the major AI labs. Maybe the creators of this experimental model didn't want their work exposed. Others thought it was automated moderation software reacting to mass user reports. And then there were wilder theories that the image itself somehow interfered with algorithms, tripping filters that weren't supposed to exist. A journalist tried to track the origins of the file, but found dead ends everywhere. The Discord invite links no longer worked. The Twitter accounts that first posted it were deleted. Even archive sites, which usually save everything, showed corrupted snapshots. It was as if someone or something wanted the painting gone. By this point, the image had gone from a curious AI artifact to full-blown urban legend. TikTok videos claimed it caused insomnia. Redditors speculated it was part of a government experiment in digital subliminal messaging. A few fringe podcasts even suggested the AI had seen something in its training data, something no human was meant to see. Still, no one could explain the central mystery. Why did thousands of people report the same feelings? Nausea, fear, the sense of being watched, from looking at a static image that contained nothing explicitly frightening. Scientists have a term for images that trigger deep discomfort without clear cause: the uncanny valley effect. But this went further. This wasn't just discomfort, it was revulsion. A primitive, gut-level warning signal, as though every viewer's brain recognized something it couldn't consciously name. This is where the story pauses, because the original painting has never resurfaced. No one has a clean copy, at least not publicly, and yet whispers persist. People claim it wasn't the only image like this, that more disturbing paintings exist in private collections, locked away by labs that know exactly how dangerous they are. And maybe they're right. Because if an AI can create something so unsettling by accident, what happens when it tries to do it on purpose? The story might have ended there. A creepy image, a flood of rumors, and a digital ghost vanishing into the web. But it didn't. Months later, an anonymous researcher posted a 12-second clip on an encrypted forum. The video showed a computer screen running a neural network visualization. Layers of an AI model were being probed, revealing what the system saw as it processed data. And for a brief, flickering moment, the painting appeared. The researcher claimed they hadn't been searching for it. They were stress testing a language image model trained on historical archives when one node spontaneously generated a frame that matched the infamous description. The warped hallway, the too close walls, the figure with the searching eyes. But here's the disturbing part. They froze the frame and zoomed in. Hidden in the pixel noise were shapes, not random compression glitches. Words. Not English words, not any human language at all. But they repeated the same shapes in multiple reconstructions, as though the AI wasn't drawing them, but copying them from somewhere. Naturally, this clip was downloaded, mirrored, and dissected by every online conspiracy forum in existence. People started arguing over whether it was real. Some claimed to see entire messages, sentences written in this strange script. Others swore the markings looked like distorted human faces when magnified. One detail everyone noticed: when the video paused on the painting, the software dashboard showed the system's internal label for that frame. It read, "Do not show." Theories exploded. Was this a secret censorship mechanism built into experimental AI? Was the image from a corrupted dataset? Something scraped accidentally from surveillance footage or classified archives? Or was the AI trying to warn us about something it found? The last idea sounds ridiculous, until you consider what modern neural networks actually do. They're not thinking like humans, but they're pattern-finding machines. If this system detected something repeatedly, something it marked as hostile, maybe it wasn't imagining danger at all. Maybe it was recognizing it. This brings us to the final chapter. A whistleblower, claiming to work for a major AI company, leaked internal logs. These logs showed several images similar to the painting, all generated unintentionally by test models. Each one triggered the same automatic response: quarantine, delete, suppress. In some logs, engineers left comments like, "Why do these faces look familiar?" Dataset check again. Nothing should be producing this. Flagged by Sentinel layer. Possible hostile embedding. No one could explain what hostile embedding meant. Some speculated it referred to malicious code hidden inside image data. Others believed it was an internal safety term for outputs that caused extreme negative reactions in humans. But the creepiest log was the last one. Next to the original painting's file ID, a single line of text appeared. It knows. Whether that was a joke by an overworked engineer or something far darker, no one knows. But here's what we do know. Every traceable copy of the image has been scrubbed from the public web. Any attempt to regenerate it using modern AI tools produces corrupted results, like the models are deliberately refusing. And multiple insiders, quietly, off the record, admit that the disturbing painting wasn't unique. It was one of hundreds. So, what are these images? Just AI hallucinations? Or are they snapshots of something hidden inside the massive data sets our machines are trained on? Something so alien, so fundamentally wrong, that even the AI itself tries to suppress it. And the final question: what if the AI isn't suppressing it to protect us, but to protect itself? Whether you believe any of this or not, the legend of the disturbing painting has only grown. People online still hunt for it. Some claim to have seen fragments pop up on obscure forums. Others insist it's all internet folklore, a mass case of digital hysteria. But the unease lingers. If an image can make thousands of people sick, paranoid, and sleepless without showing anything overtly violent, then maybe we've crossed a line we don't even understand yet. Maybe the machines are showing us something we're not ready to see. And maybe that's why it keeps disappearing. The AI didn't just paint something horrifying. It painted something true. And that's why they buried it. If this story gave you chills, hit like so we know you're still with us. Subscribe if you dare, because this isn't the only AI secret we've uncovered. And tell us in the comments, do you think the painting is real, or just a legend that refuses to die?